religious organizations. Each and every one of them is concerned about roads, and the other bond questions seem to be secondary. So I've heard, obviously, Mr. Maxwell, your group holds great influence in this community. I thank you again for being here for these many hours, and I look forward to visiting with your committee again to discuss infrastructure and how we move forward. Thank you again, sir.
Thank you. Any further comments by board members? If not, again, gentlemen, thank you for your presentations, and I expect we'll see you back here on the 21st. Thank you.
Bring friends.
And bring some A10s with you.
Friends.
Bring your friends. Do you have any friends, Mr. Varney?
Let's not be argumentative. Can we move on now to item 14, Fleet Services Donation of Surplus Equipment?
Madam Chair,
Supervisor Carroll.
under Fleet Services donation of surplus equipment, I'd like to approve
Move
the staff
approval.
request for removal of approval of the international water truck out to Elephant Head Volunteer Fire Department and Mescal Volunteer Fire Department as well.
Motion and a second to approve. Supervisor Miller, did you have
Madam
a
Chair,
comment?
my concern with this is that there's an Arizona statute 11-251-9, and the statute states, a county may dispose of surplus equipment and materials that have little or no value that are unauctionable in any manner authorized by the board. Have we tried to auction these water trucks off? Because my understanding is that the value is somewhere between $10,000 and $17,500, and the request is to give these to the two volunteer fire departments for $100 each. I just want to make sure we're not violating a statute.
Comments? Mr. Bernal? Mr. Weaver?
Madam Chair, Supervisor Miller, we have not auctioned these or put these up for auction, but as we've explained in our communication to the board, there is a discretionary role that the board can take in this manner, but you're absolutely correct. Our estimate of the value is between $10,000 and $17,000 for both when you combine the two of them.
And but your information, if I understand it, is that we have the discretionary authority to do this. So we are not in
Sure.
violation.
But it does have to be a unanimous vote.
It has to be a unanimous vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Chair, as mentioned in the memo and by Mr. Bernal, these are voluntary fire departments, Elephant Head, as well as Mescal Valley. So if we could hear from
Mr. Weaver?
Attorney Mr. Weaver on the subject, that would be
The section we're relying upon is ARS 11-251-58. It says, on unanimous consent of the Board of Supervisors, license, lease, or sell any county property pursuant to paragraphs 56 and 57 of this section at less than fair market value to any other governmental entity, including the state, cities, towns, public improvement districts, or other counties within or outside the state, or for a specific purpose, any charitable, social, or benevolent nonprofit organization. So I think that's the statute in which this
So
applies.
we can do this provided it's a unanimous vote.
Yes.
Okay.
yeah.
That is your
Supervisor
legal
Miller?
opinion. Okay, all right. Thank you for that.
Okay, I think we do have a motion in a
And
second.
since it is a volunteer fire departments, I do understand that they're, need the money and need the equipment. And since it is legal under the statute, I'll go ahead and approve it.
Okay, so with that, roll call just to be on the safe side.
Supervisor Carroll.
Aye.
Supervisor Diaz. Aye. Supervisor Miller.
Aye.
Supervisor Valadez.
Aye.
Chair Barnes.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to regional wastewater reclamation and item 15. I'll move the item.
Second.
Motion in a second. Any objections? Hearing none. Motion carries. Moving on to hearings, franchise license and permits, items 16 and 17. Is there any, these are hearings, anyone in the audience that wishes to address us on these items at this time? If not, what's the pleasure of the board?
Madam
Supervisor.
Chair, seeing no one in the audience that wants to step forward and speak against or in favor of these, I'd like to close the public hearing and move item 16, hearing for the extension of time premises and patio for the American Citizen Social Club
Thank
in
you.
Ajo. And number 17, the hearing on the extension of premises patio permit for Union Public House.
Motion and a second to close the hearing and approve items 16 and 17. Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. Moving on to item 18, amendments to the county bond ordinances and bond program update and ordinance number 2015-10. These, and then same under similar on item 19A and B, and ordinance number 2015-11. B is termination of the intergovernmental agreement with the town of Savarita. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address us on these items at this time? If not, what's the pleasure of the board?
Move approval of those items and those accompanying ordinances
And close the hearing.
and close the hearing.
Madam Chair,
Supervisor Miller.
I demand that we divide the question, item 18 from item 19.
Okay. Okay. Item 18, what's the pleasure of the board?
Move approval
And close the hearing.
and close the hearing.
Madam Chair,
Motion and second to approve. Supervisor Miller.
my concerns on this item are that, number one, we're moving out some projects from the 1997 road bonds out until 2022. There are 6 amendments to extend those implementation periods, and the cost cited is by reduced HERF funding. We're using HERF monies to pay for these transportation projects for new and road widenings, and it's extending out the time frame. We're going to be almost 25 years into this, and we already have this issue with road repairs. The other issue I have with this item is expanding the scope and implementation for Canoa Ranch to fund additional renovations. We're hearing about these cuts from the state. We all know we have these cuts at the state level with the budget cuts, yet we're willing to.
That's the next item.
This is item 18.
But
I'm talking
about 19 with.
I'm talking about the bond amendments, the ordinance and bond program update, and these are the items cited in number 18, where you go through each of the items, and I just summarize them in the staff report. And I'm just talking specifically to these various amendments that you have in the staff report. So these are really the concerns that I have, is that these are ongoing and they're expanding the scope. And it's my personal opinion that we should not continue these out into 25 years, especially the 1997 transportation bonds, which my understanding is are somewhere in the neighborhood of 80 million outstanding, of a $350 million bond from 97. So those are my comments on item 18.
Thank you. Mr. Huckleberry.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board. The staff report is written for